Hey, what's up, you guys? Bonjour à tous, and welcome to this presentation. I am pretty excited for you guys. In this video, we're going to see how to speak like and with native speakers, no matter where you are, no matter where you live. Now, over this presentation, I will show you how I personally learned languages, helped my friends, and helped over 200 students to learn a new language. And my goal is to show you that if you change your mindset, if you change your method, if you change your network and environment, you can become fluent. Maybe you know me from Instagram, but my name is Etienne. And as you can tell, or you don't know yet, I'm French. And, being French to learn languages is not easy, right? It's very hard for French people to be good at speaking. So if I did it, you guys can definitely do it. And especially when I was the last one at school for languages, right? If a French guy who were the last one at school for languages are not able to speak over 7 languages, but more especially to connect with the world, you guys can do it too, right? And also, not only I can travel and make new friends all over the world and connect with people, but I was also able to work abroad in New York and to use my language skills to build up my resume and my career. Now, this is for you if you're native English speaker or non-native English speaker. If you're a native English speaker, maybe you're looking to learn a second language, right? French, Spanish, something else. And maybe you want to become first conversational friendly, right? If you go travel abroad, if you go live in a different country, of course, English is your first language, but you also want to connect with locals, right? So learning a new language is very important in your case, either to be conversational or fluent. Or maybe like me, you're a non-native English speaker and you want to learn English to connect with the world or to grow your skills in your career, right? So, English is important, not to be perfect, but at least to understand other people trying to communicate in English, but also for other people to understand you, right? So, as a French speaker, I had a huge accent when I started to speak English. Now, I was able to lower it down. And maybe some of you, you already speak English, you already speak your own language, and you want to go with a third one, which is French or another one, right? Now I'm going to show you the first secret, guys. How can changing your method can make you learn a new language 10 times faster. Now, this is me, guys. I told you I was the last one at school, not for 1 year, but for maybe 15 years. And I was not able to speak, neither to write, a bit reading. And every time I was trying to write something and an essay, my classmates and teachers were always laughing at me because I couldn't write anything but copy lyrics from songs. But something happened. I changed my method and I was able to get to the level that I am right now. How did I do it? I changed my method, my mindset, and my networking environment. I told you guys I was the last one at school for over 5 years. And if you look at it, I started to first learn German, but I still got 5 points out of 20 at the high school diploma, which is like an F, right? But I'm gonna tell you my story and what changed in my life so I can learn new languages and have the life that I have today. First of all, I moved to Lyon to study math engineering. Who knows Lyon? This is the second biggest town of France, a bit smaller than Paris, but the energy is great. You have people from all over the world. It's not too big, not too small, perfect size. If you come to France, check out Lyon. So I moved to Lyon to become a math engineer, right? First, I didn't have nothing to do with languages, minus the one for coding, right? C, C++, that kind of stuff. That's what I went to study as a master degree, math engineering. Now, what is the link with math engineering and languages, you will ask, right? Well, if you want to become a math engineer, you have to get the TOEIC. So maybe some of you want to come to France and you need to take the day of the DALF, right? So my problem was I was the last one at school. I couldn't speak English. So no English, no TOEIC, no TOEIC, no graduation, no graduation. Can move abroad, can connect with the world, right? So what did I do? I changed my methods. I'm gonna show you guys, not especially how I went from struggling at school, not able to speak another language, to be able to graduate without a suit but a smile on my face, but especially to speak English, right? So I was able to get the TOEIC with a pretty high score at the time, almost all the point in listening, and a good score for the reading. Now, guys, would you like to know how did I change the method, and would you like it to happen for yourself? Maybe you're trying to take the DELF. The current method is not working for you, but deep down, you know you want to make it happen. Now, I want you to know this is not your fault. If you cannot make it happen right now, this is not your fault. It is most likely a method problem. All right, guys. So, how many times you've been to school, the teacher is writing too fast, you're losing track, and it's hard for you to catch up, right? Not all of us are as fast as other people, right? Sometimes we are slower. Sometimes we need to ask the teacher to repeat, right? And sometimes, the teacher can only repeat once, twice, but you cannot have unlimited repeat, right? So what I did, instead of asking the teachers to repeat over and over again, I said, all right, I'm going to put my phone on the table. I'm going to press record. And from now forward, all you're going to say about the class, all the information that I need, I'm going to have them right here in my phone. So when I went back home, I didn't have to email the teacher. I didn't have to call all of the students. I just had to replay the play button on my phone, listen as many times as I needed to understand, to practice, and to make it work. Repetition is the key to language learning. You have to review a couple times a day to actually remember the right word and the right pronunciation, right? Now, if you join us today, what you're going to get is online classes that you can access no matter where you are, either on your phone, on your laptop, but also that you can replay as many times as you want. So over the first week, you're going to see how to introduce yourself, how to ask questions, time and location, getting around, all about hotels, all about restaurant, all about leisure, all about business meeting, all about immigration, how to use present, how to use future, how to use past. I'm going to teach you all the basics for you to become a real conversational friendly in French or English. But when I say conversational friendly, I want you to connect with locals, right? This is the goal, to actually be able to communicate, connect with locals, and have fun. Now we're gonna go over the secret number 2, how to become fluent quickly without being good at grammar and even on a busy schedule. Now, what does it mean to be fluent? What does it mean to be fluent? Is it measured by our grades and certification, or is it measured by the way that we can communicate with others, and especially how we can fit in a community, right? What do you think? Is it the grades or the results? Now let's look at the regular school, the way they approach languages and communication. So we learn mostly how to write, to read, and to be good at taking tests, right? We don't really practice with native speakers. We end up not being really good at speaking and neither pronunciation. So in reality, we cannot really speak, we cannot pronounce correctly, and we can connect with local, which is our end goal, right? Does it ever happen to you to speak with somebody else, trying to communicate in that new language, trying to say a word or an expression, but the other person is looking at you like, what? What did you say? I don't understand. Wait, what? How many times did it happen to you? You try so hard. At school, you were able to communicate with the teacher and your classmate. You thought your pronunciation was on point, but we actually put it into practice in the real world. we have native speakers like what? And you try over and over again, and then at some point, oh, that thing, and now you were like, that's what I was saying, right? How many times did it happen to you this? Now let me tell you my story. I told you I went to school for 10 years trying to learn a new language, and it didn't work for me. And being insane is doing the same thing over and over again. Now I had two choices. Either I went to school on Friday morning with other French students trying to speak English and a teacher, or I could use the energy of Lyon to connect with international students and to have fun and to actually connect with native speakers. So what I did, I didn't go to school on Friday morning, even though I know she's not gonna give me the grade for my midterms, but I didn't really care about the grades. I was too tired of it. I wanted to get the skills. So I took a risk and I went out and connect with native speakers. Now I did not only connect with American, I went with American, British, international. I wanted to really understand other people and other people can understand me. Sometimes you go to a regular class, you speak English, your classmate understand you, your teacher understand you, but what about native speakers? Do they actually understand you? And especially for English, you have people speaking English from all over the world, not only American, not only British, but people from Germany, Asia, Africa. If this is the language of the world to communicate. That's why I got the most practice with as many people as I could. Now, how many of you would like to have fun while you study? Right? But maybe you're too busy, right? Maybe you don't have time to go out and socialize. Maybe you don't have time to have as many practice as you want, and I get it. So what I used to do when I talk with my friends, new people that I would meet randomly, I would always take notes. And I remember one time it was actually pretty funny. I was with my friend Fallon. You're gonna listen to his story in a bit, and we were about to go on a trip. And I was talking English with him for a while. He knew my skills, and at some point I asked him, "Hey, Fallon, you got your logagi ready?" He said, "What? Your logagi? You have it? What do you mean logagi? Logagi? Oh, luggage. See, that's the problem with regular school and learning from the real world. Like regular school, you see the word, you read it in your mind, you try to guess pronunciation, and then it's stick in your head this way, right? Actually, the real way to learn a new word of expression is to first remember how it sounds. The second step is to learn to write it in a way when you read it, you pronounce it the right way. And the last step is to actually learn how to spell it properly. So in my flashcard that I used to use on my phone, I will, la valise, luggage, the right way of spelling it, but also a way for me to be able to pronounce it correctly, right? That's my goal. So what could you do, right? Let me ask you a question. How do you say residence in French? So if you have to read it as an English speaker, you might end up saying less the H sound, less habitants, right? And it's actually les habitants. So the problem with French is pronunciation. So many of you know how to write pretty good or not too bad, but pronunciation is key, especially if you want to connect with us, right? So what you could do is write out on your phone, the pronunciation phonetically, or you can join us and get the Audible flashcard. Now, those flashcards not only have new idioms tailor-made to you, it also has the pronunciation, and it also has the tracking progress. So you're going to be able to review new idiom, new vocabularies with the pronunciation right on your phone or on your laptop. Now, the secret number 3. How can you have unlimited practice no matter where you live? So let's look a bit about the history of communication. Back in the day, we used to send a lot of letters to, friend overseas, or we used to love MSN, whatever online stuff. But we didn't really have phone. We couldn't really speak to them on the phone. We couldn't really send them a voice note. And we were writing more than speaking. But now in 2019, we use cell phones, we use video calls, we use audio notes to communicate, right? So now we cannot really hide behind words. We have to speak. And when you speak, it's on the spot. You don't have time to correct it online. And speaking is your brand. So it's very important to know really how to speak and communicate rather than reading and writing. Now, how can you have unlimited practice when you can go out, socialize, try to practice as many times as you can, try to get feedback, right? Because sometimes it's easy to get practice, but not all of them will give you feedback, right? And especially when you try to learn with a private teacher, sometimes it's hard to really check your level because the teacher is going to get used of you speaking. The person you're talking to, you put a new person, is going to really see if your speaking flow is actually on point to not only communicate with your regular teachers, but somebody random. And that's the goal with languages, not only to be able to communicate with the teachers, but to communicate with as many native speakers or non-native speakers around you. But maybe you're too busy, and I get it. That's why if you join us, you're gonna get a WhatsApp group chat where you can practice no matter where you are, on your phone, on your laptop, either practice writing by writing a text or sending voice note. You can send voice note to each other, and I will be also sending voice note so you guys can repeat the messages as many times as you want. And you can all practice in the chat no matter where you are, even though you're at your job, no matter where you live in the world, you will be able to practice anytime, anywhere. Now, as I told you, I would like to introduce you my friend Falen that I personally helped in Lyon to study French. Falen, are you here?
Can you actually tell us what is the gap and the difference between, whatever language you learned back home and the real language, like in your case, French?
Yeah, so I studied 2 years of French in the university, and in the university we learned a lot of vocabulary, we learned a lot of grammar, mostly to satisfy written requirements for exams and tests that we needed to take in order to achieve the next level of the French study at the university. With that said, I have to say, when I got to France and when I started living with this family, I, it was as if I didn't ever take a class in French. My listening skills were rubbish, to say the least. And I could not essentially the first month I couldn't really communicate. Everything was so fast, and it was very difficult. So in terms of a gap, yeah, there is a large gap between what you learn in the university setting versus the level of language when you're thrown into an environment where everyone is a native speaker. Yeah, at first it was classes and my family, but then when I met you, I started learning slang. I started learning more like not slang, but just more colloquialisms to where I was able to fit in better within the French community. I learned phrases and words that I would never have learned if I wasn't hanging out with you and your French friends. It was great. I learned essentially how to speak real French.
Mm-hmm. and it was enjoyable process, right? It's actually, you don't feel like you study it, like you immerse yourself. It's like a roller coaster, right? You just enjoy the way.
Yeah, I would say at that time, between the holiday breaks and the strikes, I didn't really go to school very much. I mostly spent them talking with you and hanging out and just kind of learning as I went. But that's what immersion's all about. It's about, immersing yourself with someone,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and like learning from them and the peers around them.
By meeting Etienne, he made it very kind of comfortable, because as an American in France, it's very difficult to connect with the locals on a personal level. But Etienne really made that effortless, and we became close friends. And that allowed me to kind of have more of an opportunity to also practice my kind of casual, French that you would use in a friendship that you don't get to use in the classroom. When we talk about languages, it's not just about being fluent. It's being able to communicate with others, and it's about immersion. You need to get immersed.
Yeah, because
like
yourself, you lived in Brazil, right? You live in France, in Southeast Asia. You're American. Of course, you speak English. You can speak
Yes.
to everybody, but it's not enough, right?
Correct. It's not enough. And if you want to make a connection on a personal, emotional level, you need to try, at least you're making an effort to speak in their language, and you can have a conversation with them. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fluent, but you do have to be able to, respond and communicate with them. Etienne definitely, I think, has a natural gift. I kind of think of him I think of him as a friend, of course, but he's also been a little bit of a life coach to me. His story is inspirational. The things he's overcome are inspiring, and he really encourages you to focus on what you want and on how to get there. That's an art form that he's kind of developed and is continuing to perfect, helping people with realizing their dream, whatever that might be. So he's helped me immensely, and he still is.